Another broadcast of Truth Be Told with Tony and Dean, the Monday edition. We are so excited to have everybody here today. I'm Tony Sweet, and we have...
Well, we have Dean Ryan, and I'm ready for Halloween. I got a little outfit here. I'm representing the Vietnam vets.
Oh, nice.
And,
nice. You look good there.
Well, because, you know, we have a lot of vets on the street, and it's Halloween, and our guest today, Sean Stone, and... his father did the incredible film Platoon.
That was a good movie.
And Born on 4th of July. And what better way to represent those great films with our great guest today and to represent all the vets. And back to you.
And happy Halloween. We want to thank
Halloween.
you guys for tuning in every Monday. And we're going to have a great show. But first, we have not Captain Ron in studio.
Well, wait a second. Hold on a minute.
Uh-oh.
Hold on a
What?
minute. What are you wearing today for Halloween?
I'm wearing a middle-aged country boy from Kansas that moved to Los Angeles 14 years ago. Look. What is that? Does that look kind of...
That's incredible. That I know. I love your Halloween costume. and quite frankly, I thought you were going to have candy.
there's candy. There's actually some Doritos in there.
Oh, but you know, before we get to the news, this is really something we want to share with the audience because I know we talked about this. Is there's some really nefarious things happening? I thought that our audience would find very interesting, and maybe Tony could tell us some of the nefarious things happening here at the UBN studios with our little telecast.
Well, actually, for a while now, but I've noticed that it's increasing
Since I've been around. Yeah.
Since you've been around, and that's the honest truth.
It is.
But a lot of technical issues have been going on with our systems, with streaming, with connections, and even my phone has probably been tapped because it beeps all the time
when I call.
When you call.
And when you call your folks.
Oh, when I call anybody now. So it's definitely not.
And folks, let me just tell you, this is
tapped.
not something we're imagining or just making up. I mean, I think it is even affecting our view counts. But not only that, Tony, and our colleagues of the show are part of that crew in Texas called the Don'tComply.com. They're actually getting hacked right now today and getting framed for that story they posted on the federalization of police. So people, stay tuned because we're going to do a special report on that at some point tonight, and it's going to be archived on our YouTube channel that's heavily bugged. So we want to be just completely honest with the audience in that we are way over the mark, Tony.
Well, I'm trying to, what's funny, I'm even trying to stream us to Periscope right now, and it keeps shutting me down.
Yeah.
And
no, you were on the phone with Microsoft for like hours, even when I got here. And
still not fixed.
And speaking of Microsoft, the Don't Comply gentlemen, the Microsoft has the back channels to their computers and are putting and framing them with hacking propaganda. And if anyone follows that, this administration has put more whistleblowers and journalists in jail more than any previous administration, and they're using the Espionage Act to do so, which is documented in the movie Snowden. And I guess we're all Russian spies, Tony, is what I'm saying.
Well, according to my DNA, I don't have any Russian in me, but...
We are comrades.
Oh, okay.
So, but anyways, this is a big week for news. We're close to the election.
And 1 week left until the election.
1 week. Yeah, 1 week before we see the apocalypse happen and the mass exodus of the United States. But let's get to the news. And who do we have filling in for Captain Ron Shoes today?
The one and only. We have Mickey Manning all the way from Las Vegas.
All right.
Hi, Mickey. How you doing?
She's ready.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. We can hear you just fine.
Oh, we hear you. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Do you like my costume? I'm a bohemian artist. Is it working?
You look amazing for a bohemian artist.
Thank you. It's been a travel day, so I'm just happy to be here and safe and sound. Back in fabulous Las Vegas for Halloween. You should be here.
Totally.
One of these days, we're going to get out there. I have to say, I do love Vegas for certain reasons.
Well,
I'm not going to tell you why.
Moving fastly from that statement, Mickey, what's going on? The news, the WikiLeaks, the dump today has happened by the WikiLeaks, and
was there more?
There's big time more. What kind of questions is that? And when I hear Donna Brazile, the CNN anchor and DNC chair, was just fired today from CNN, and I know that's heartbreaking for some of her fans or fan here in the studio. But moving fastly forward, what is on the radar where you are, Mickey?
Well, speaking of WikiLeaks, that announcement came yesterday around 4:30 that WikiLeaks 3 was going to be released this week. Quite a few came out today, and as we've seen, it takes a lot of time to delve through these. But Donna Brazile being fired was no coincidence. I think what we're seeing is a huge unraveling, and they just can't keep up this dog and pony show. The wag the dog is failing to work, and the smugness and arrogance of what's worked for so long is falling apart, and we're seeing them scramble. But it's quite interesting, and as we delve through these and more come out throughout the day, since they just were released, we don't have any specifics, but there's some good stuff in there, and we're getting into what we want to see. I think the Obama and Hillary stuff is about to unfold.
It feels that way, Tony. I mean, I'm walking through the hall in the lobby at the studios, and I'm watching CNN. I mean, not willfully, just it's on, and you see the scramble by the lamestream media to really cover this up and slightly, ever so, cover the leaks. I don't know if you've noticed that. So it seems to be crunch time, and I think the establishment is scrambling like a bunch of headless chickens, Mickey. So, I mean, so what's on the top of the agenda? What should we be looking at now?
Well, I think with Huma Aberdeen, that's a huge diversion. Where is she? We don't know. She's completely missing. To my knowledge, I've been traveling from San Diego today, so I'm not quite sure in the past few hours what could have happened. And the way things are going, everything changes hourly. So it's exciting, and it's hard to keep up with. There's so much. But I think Huma Aberdeen is a huge key. Everything with her husband, who wonderfully named Wiener. I can see why she never took that last name. That's a diversion, but it's also an interesting thing that she's missing. Now there's a warrant for her arrest.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
there is a warrant.
That came out today. There's an actual warrant for her arrest. And we're seeing a big scramble there because she holds the key to all of that coming out, and they have it now.
Now, let me just pose this question, and Tony, I know you're on top of this. Huma, I want to say human, but she actually gave testimony with the FBI that she didn't know a thing about these emails, correct? And now that they found this on her loving husband's computer, I've come to three conclusions: that either she stupidly put them on there and just forgot about it, number one. Number two, she put them on there and they were under allegedly they're under a folder named life insurance. So that's number two. Or number three, her and Mr. Wiener are some kind of spies that are there. They were part of the Clinton machine to blackmail them the whole time. So I think it's one of those three. Mickey, am I far off from my analysis here?
And honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards the latter, because if you look at the Saudi Arabian background, Hillary's donations from Saudi, all of her alliances that she's created, I was starting to think maybe Hillary was under some weird monarch mind control where Huma had like the Pavlovian word that suddenly Hillary did whatever she said. I mean, I for a while felt like there was something behind Hillary's top aide and lover from what we hear. The media won't say that, mainstream media won't say that, but we all know that the speculation truly is that this has been Hillary's lover for several years. And for her and her husband's bizarre ties that are similar to Hillary and Bill's, I think this story goes way deeper, and there may be a couple of dead bodies of Huma and her wiener soon.
Well, I have to say though, of anything that would take Hillary down, this, and to be having Huma be the one that really caused it,
it's painful.
It does kind of seem like there's a lot more to it than just a coincidence.
Well, it's more than just it's almost like Judas.
I know. You're right.
It does seem like the ultimate spy betrayal, or the movie of Donnie Brasco where Johnny Depp betrays the Al Pacino character. Is like they thought you were.
I mean, you could, if in Hollywood, you could not make this shit up. You could not make this
I've tried.
election and everything up. You could not make this up.
It is a James Bond movie with like a lover.
For a minute, just look at Hillary's health concerns, and it crossed my mind. Could her lover be poisoning her? Could part of her, long term, somebody can be poisoned and have all kinds of bizarre illnesses. Her medical treatments have been archaic. Other doctors have speculated on what they're doing to her, and there are other treatments that are more effective. So in actuality, they're keeping her sick. this has been on my mind for a long time too, and it's rather bothersome when you think about someone this close to her with all these outside interests and influences. What's really happening here is could be many layers, not just Wiener and Huma, but all kinds of stuff going on with the Saudis too. Who really knows? It's very complicated.
Right, and as someone who's been poisoning Tony Sweet for the past few months, I totally agree to that analysis. But
thought the water tasted funny.
It's not water. But segueing, Mickey, because I want to get all this information out before our guest comes. I know the Huma Aberdeen factor is such a big player here, but we see other things going on, and with the Podesta emails, or the dumps rather, he talks, and I know you might have seen this, which is highlighted in one of the emails, that he wants to make almost an example of any leaker in the DNC. He wants to make an example of them, of you do this, we're going to get you. And the correspondence he had with the person in that email, I can't think of it at the top of my head, is the other person to Podesta said, if this information about the Clinton Foundation gets out, quote, we are screwed, unquote. I mean, I'm sure you saw that, and it's quite alarming.
The good thing is that we're seeing leaks come from other areas. So when they were trying to discredit WikiLeaks, now we've had several other sources come out, and we're seeing a lot of other information come forward. So them trying to discredit WikiLeaks isn't really working because there's so many other areas that information is coming from. And I think that really helps take that spotlight off of WikiLeaks and puts the trust factor back on them, because so far they've done nothing but deliver wonderful information over many years. Their track record's amazing.
Well, let me rudely cut you off and just pose this question: if the WikiLeaks are forged, emails, like that's the narrative they're going with, and Podesta and all them, if they really are forged, why is Donna Brazile getting fired today if they're really just made up emails, Tony? I mean,
and why have they never actually denied them? They've never said they're not real. So that's another good point.
I'm just saying, if they're literally legitimately forged documents, why is she getting fired? Why was Debbie Wasserman Schultz getting fired for these forged emails? I mean, and not to say these are really extreme, detailed emails. They're not just. It would take like the greatest novel writer to write the detail in these things. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so that's something I've been noticing as the private detective here at UBN. So,
do you think now, since we're only 8 days away, the eve of the election
eve,
yes. So we still have 7 days. What do you expect? Because possibility Hillary still could win. I mean, she still could win.
Tomorrow's going to be really interesting. There is a press conference in Washington, D.C. by Danny Williams, Bill Clinton's illegitimate son from Arkansas.
Right.
His half black, half Caucasian son. And apparently he has a bombshell to drop that will affect, this is what's been said, it's not been said what it is, but he is holding this press conference tomorrow in D.C. and releasing information that will be devastating to Clinton's campaign.
Ooh, let's speculate for a minute, Tony.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
If I was Bill Clinton's son.
Because he was on Alex Jones.
He was
and
on
he
that show.
Divulged quite a bit of information, so I'm trying to figure what else would he know.
I would say he might have some health information, insider information on the two Clintons. Or they might be CIA because they're both from Harvard.
I was going to say, if he said something about their health, that's just speculation because he can't even get close to him. So how would he know?
He has some information about Hillary and her lover. I mean, who knows what we're about to hear, but that was what was said in the press release, was that he will be dropping a bombshell tomorrow that will devastate the Clinton campaign.
Man, like I said, you can't. This is like a Netflix series that I.
No, Tony, this is exactly anyone that's been following or watching House of Cards on Netflix. I mean, the coincidence.
Like they read the script.
It is. Bill Clinton has said that is as accurate as
Bill Clinton said that.
Yeah, on one of the interviews, and I mean, it's based off the Clintons. Let's just be honest. The couple. I mean, and they have political insiders helping write that show. But segueing again, Mickey. Besides the Podesta emails, what is the Trump campaign? Are they kind of just pulling back on this and letting the chips fall where they may, or Or are they putting more of a
I
hand in
think
this?
my dad always had a great expression, give them enough rope, they'll hang themselves. And I think Trump is a smart enough man to see that happening. He doesn't really have to do a lot right now. I mean, he can get in there and use some of that to his advantage in certain ways, but I think we're seeing a huge unraveling. And I think what would be smart for Trump is to, if he's not truly on the business side of the pipeline, one of the biggest things he could do is come out and do something, because I feel us escalating for a civil war with all of the stuff happening over at the pipeline. The natives are getting restless, so to speak, and the workers are getting fearful. They're actually coming out now and reporting on CNN and talking about their fear. So that's painting the natives in a bad light, when in actuality they're holding a peace ceremony, and there are policemen in full riot gear that are with dogs.
Well, no, I'm so glad you brought that up, and anybody that's been following that, and you really have almost had to follow it via social media or online and independent media, but the North Dakota pipeline is a huge story that is really not getting the coverage due to the election, House of Cards coverage, if you will. But I think it's one of the most important stories, definitely, of the past few years. Because, Mickey, I want to ask you, is that thing going to be resolved? Do you see Obama stepping in, trying to look like the leader, or even Hillary Clinton kind of stepping in to help their poll numbers?
I think the problem is there's too much money involved, and it's big business. And what we're seeing with Obama and Trump and all of these guys, Hillary, Biden, every one of them, it's big business for them. And this is where I don't see them necessarily stepping up to save it, because it's going to be too much money lost. And that's the downside, is this really is escalating. One of the native people that live on the land was pulled over, taken to jail, and she was riding in a car doing the speed limit. She was the passenger. They took her clothing, left her in a jail cell overnight, and didn't bring her a jumpsuit until the next morning. She was charged by then with disturbing a government project. Remember, now she's riding in a car, minding her own business. And by the time she got out of jail, she had outrageous charges that had to do with the protest, which she was not at when she was arrested. Multiple reporters just reporting on it from far away are being taken to jail and facing years in prison. This is bad.
Well, for the people out there that are listening to, can you explain what the North Dakota pipeline is? Because a lot of people are like, what are even protesting?
Sure. Well, let me try to throw my 2 cents in, and then, which is very low, and then Mickey can take the ball and run with it. But from my understanding, is there is a pipeline that big oil wants, and people involved in the in politics and big government want it as well. However, the pipeline is going through ancient Native American ancestry grounds, ancient grounds of Native American land. And instead of going around it, they want to go right through it. And all the Native American tribes around the country have united, along with activists as well, to prevent the big oil people from coming and taking the land. However, now the big oil companies have the protection and the will of government security, like I would say the police and federal troops, to clear the grounds of any activists and Native Americans. But Mickey, I know you've been following a little closer than me. Why don't you kind of pick up where I just left off and kind of explain a bit more?
Well, luckily, my sister lives in North Dakota, and I think we have a particular interest because we are Native American Indian. I know I don't look at it as much as you, Dean, but I'm Cherokee, and I follow anything that seems related to a history repeating itself where Native Americans are concerned. And the Trail of Tears always comes to mind because I grew up in Oklahoma. Now, what I relate to that, you've got a lot of issues here where the natives are standing up for the water, and they're talking about the treaty. And I think, this is a people that really keep to themselves, and they aren't political. And for them to go through the proper channels, to go to City Hall and to say this or say that, that's not their way. And for them to take the stand that they are, this is what they know. And there is a violation going on here of the treaty that was signed. There is a burial grounds there that this is going to be disturbing, and it does go through part of the Native American land that was given as part of that treaty. So not only do you have that going on, but you've got the when you hear Hillary talking about fracking, a lot of people don't know what that means. This is what she's talking about when you hear the debates and they're talking about fracking. This is taking the oil out, transporting it long distances through pipes. And if you look at the line of where this is going to exit the United States and go through, it passes by multiple factories, the nuclear places that if there were any type of contamination leak, this could cause nuclear explosions. This could be catastrophic for not just possibly that state or America. Who knows? On a global level, this could be catastrophic.
So there you go.
Oh, and they don't care too. They got their underground bases in Denver, and they got their offshoots in like Chile and all these different places. So this again is an overreach by big government. And when you have big government, you have big corporations that use the government to do their bidding. And when there's people trying to stop it, like us, they want to put all the little bug niches into our operation, just like our friends down there in Texas. And I'll tell you this, and I was telling Tony this off air, is I'm getting word from some very credible sources. I cannot confirm it yet, but we have alleged Russian officials contacting the top 2 militias in Texas, saying to them, we have a Russian submarine 60 miles off your coast. We will back Texas up in the event that Hillary Clinton wins and Texas secedes from the Union, and there's a blockade over Texas and military confrontation, that the Russians are ready to back a potential new country of Texas if it gets to that. So I think that is a microcosm, symptom, if you will, of the state of affairs that the United States is in currently in 2016. Isn't that something that we would be living through, Gone with the Wind right now?
Well, I have to say, if you're a Nostradamus fan, this is actually the time is when World War III is supposed to be starting.
Very true.
Oh yeah, I mean,
this is like he predicted it in this time. So,
and we're trying to stop it, Tony. And I'm proud to say that the alternative media is trying their best to stop a World War III scenario, and that's why this shows like this and many others, which we're not in competition with. It's crucial that we all unite together, get these kind of shows out, get this message out, and not be intimidated by this mafia called the federal government. And I'm proud to be here right in the trenches with you, my brothers in arms.
And if you're listening, I don't know him at all.
Can I make a Halloween
Shut his mic
point
off.
about,
What is our sister in arms saying here?
I said I'd like to make a point about
Wait, hold on.
safety for
You have to
Halloween, if I could.
Are we going to allow her to make that point?
Sure, why not?
All right, make it quick. Make it quick. We got a break coming up.
All right, I know we do. That's why I wanted to get this in.
Right.
Just talking about, I was talking with my son earlier on the drive home from school, and he was still concerned about a lot of the clown scares. There were some media reports earlier on about staying safe on Halloween, clowns attacking schools, the killer clowns. I just wanted to point out to any of the parents that are out there watching to remember that the It movie, Stephen King's movie about clowns, is coming out. A lot of that could be sensationalism. The fear tactics that are being put out there and hyped up by the media, a lot of them are to scare us because of the gun laws that are coming out to be voted on. So everybody just, stay calm and be safe. And just remember that it's Halloween. We see this every year. It might be a coincidence, so don't overreact.
Well, thank you for that lovely PSA with the lovely Mickey Manning. And Tony, no clown suits for you. I know you were ready to come on air with it, and the backlash would have been incredible. But
I already bought the nose, so.
And I got to tell the folks, being here in Hollywood, it's really hard to tell that it's Halloween.
It is true. That is true.
Sure. It's just it's not. It doesn't make much of a dent around here.
You never know what you're going to see in this town.
No. So thank you, Mickey. And
thanks,
we're
Mickey.
Yes, a little round of applause from the audience. And
the people love you.
We do have an audience here.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
And just coming up, too, just so we know, and we're all clear, that we have an incredible guest.
Who might that be?
Well, we have the wonderful new author and TV show host, actor, dear friend of mine, Sean Stone, joining us after the break. And he's going to talk about some Very important things, Tony.
And his new book called New World Order.
That's right, and we're gonna just cover the whole waterfront of issues with him. We're gonna talk about his new, not new show, but show Buzzsaw that's newly on Gaia TV, one of your favorite channels, and some of the new projects he's got coming up, and he's on RT America with Watching the Hawks, my wonderful favorite show. So he's gonna be coming up here after our hard break, and it's going to be an incredible second half of Truth Be Told.
Truth Be Told.
I promise you.
Be right back.
All
Truth Be
right.
Told, Monday edition, right here on UBN Radio. You suffer from anxiety, from depression, maybe even chronic pain? Well, listen up. Truth Be Told is going to tell you about a breakthrough program built on over 100 years of therapies used in America's returning veterans to help you successfully overcome PTSD, anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. The secret proven in study after study. Music therapy. The effects of music are nothing short of amazing. From strokes to PTSD, music has been shown to improve the quality of life. Now, one of the latest music therapy programs being used in America's veteran hospitals can be yours to experience for free, at home, and to help your own anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. Or just relax after a hard day. It's called Whole Tones. It takes music therapy to a new level. This revolutionary program makes use of specifically designed frequencies that have been shown to stimulate your body's natural healing power down to a cellular level. If it works for battle-scarred vets, can it work for you? Well, experience it for yourself for free at sweetwholetones.com. Like Tony Sweet, that's SWEET. Go to sweetwholetones.com. Now enjoy the show. Do you suffer?
United States Pharmacopoeia, USP, sets the standard for most food supplements and are used in over 95% of all vitamin and mineral supplements in the world. The problem is that these products have never appeared in any living tissue. They're created in laboratories and are not recognizable to the body's metabolism. Grown by Nature products are different because they use renatured ingredients, proprietary blends of essential vitamins and minerals with cofactors of proteins, lipids, and complex carbohydrates. Over 50 studies have been conducted on renatured nutrients, and over 20 have been published in peer-reviewed journals proclaiming their superiority. As a result, Grown by Nature vitamins and supplements are now recognized as simply the best available. Call 877-817-9829. That's 877-817-9829 and order your Grown by Nature products today. We are what we eat, and since we are of nature, we should eat foods in their natural form. Only Grown by Nature offers a full line of renatured nutrients. Call 877-817-9829. That's 877-817-9829 because not all products are grown by nature, but they should be.
All right, we're back. This is Truth Be Told with Tony and Dean on the Monday edition, and we are excited to have you back with us. We are waiting for our guest, Sean Stone. We're going to be talking about his brand new book. Is this his first book?
It might be his first and last book.
Oh, nice.
After, if he doesn't get a little timely here.
Okay, well, it's called New World Order, and so I know you can pick that up anywhere.
New World Order, yeah.
And so until we get him on, we hope you guys join us every Monday and Friday, but Monday it's with Dean and I. You can check out our website, truthbetoldwebtv.com. Go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, leave a comment. We love them all. We love the good, the bad. We love to hear your comments, your criticisms, all that good stuff. And praise. Don't forget to leave a praise. Listen to us on iHeart Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, all the places, and you can't miss us. So, Dean, we have about a week left before the election. And
we do.
What do you think's going to happen? I know we got some more WikiLeaks going to be released this week, but do you think with all? I think they said there's 18 million people that have already cast their vote.
That's true. That's a lot of people.
A lot of people right now. I see where majority of the states, except Ohio, Democrats have submitted more than Republicans.
Right.
So do you think it's, I mean, because there's still another, probably 100 million people going to be submitting or a little bit more. I think I may have Sean on, but let's see.
He can wait.
He can wait. But do you think could be a little late now?
Well, let me make the real Dean Ryan prediction here for all the Vegas odds and bookies. I think we're going to see what we saw in Brexit in the UK. We're going to have the media say there's no way Trump's going to win. It's going to be Clinton all the way. But that, I think, is just the media. I think that Trump is going to win, and it's going to be by a landslide or by a hair. But I think it's going to be by a landslide. But they're going to rig the system to make it look like a hair. And I think we're going to be looking at a President Donald Trump, and we're going to see a return of the 1980s, whatever that means.
I mean, do you really think that Donald and Ronald Reagan are similar? Other than being not the establishment.
A little bit. I think there's some similarities with JFK as well. I know we saw that. We learned that too when we had Jim Mars on. And look who decided to show up here. We got I think Sean's ready.
I think he is. Sean Stone, how you doing?
Good.
All right, Dean, go ahead and introduce.
Well, we have we got to change his title of the show. We got technical difficulties. We finally have Sean Stone. Welcome to this Halloween special of Truth Be Told. And we have the great Sean Stone. Sean, how are you?
I'm good. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. You should
see favorite Halloween. My second favorite holiday.
Well, you should see what Dean wore in, man.
Yeah,
that mini skirt, it fits well.
Oh, stop it, Tony! You're so complimentary. No, I'm wearing a Vietnam vet style jacket, Sean, to represent all the Vietnam vets that are on the street. Also, since you're going to be on the show, praising the great movie Platoon,
like driver, I can imagine.
What did he say? I don't
You look like a taxi driver, I can imagine.
We're this close to canceling you in a minute. But anyways, before that, I know you've been trick-or-treating, and I know you've been busy being a werewolf all day. What is your take on the world affairs now? And let's start with something we left off in the last news segment with the North Dakota pipeline, which we're not really seeing a lot of coverage on the lamestream media. And it's been shows like Watching the Hawks on RT and RT in general, that kind of have been really keeping that story alive. What is kind of your take on what's happening down there right now?
Right. And frankly, if I had the time, I frankly should get down there. I mean, I've seen celebrities, obviously, like Mark Ruffalo last week brought attention to it on CNN. The CNN anchor that was very pleased. Mark seemed very animated, and I felt like they kind of cut him off, frankly.
Oh my God.
So, given that Ruffalo supporting Shailene Woodley got arrested around it, I mean, this is amazing. DiCaprio's been out there, or at least showing support. I'm not sure if he was there, but he's been showing support. I mean, huge stars. You would think the mainstream media would give the stars attention, right? But it goes to show that, it's really it's all about corporate interest, and unless you're basically towing the party line and trying to promote something as a celebrity that's basically promoting an Avengers movie or some film that a studio owns, they don't want the stars out there with their own voice and their own mind and their own activism separate from corporate control. So that's, I think, well, that's more this pipeline approach. Obviously, it's it's a huge situation, because we remember the Keystone pipeline was blocked right after years of people discussing it, but then out of the blue, it seemed, the North Dakota Access Pipeline is almost completed as far as the some stretches of the pipeline. I'm not sure how much time it'll take to complete the whole thing, but the point is that it's happening rapidly, and so here are the Sioux Indians of that region of the Dakotas stepping up and saying, no, not on our land, not near our land. It's not their land specifically, but the river does come down to them and saying, look, we are not
kind of have a bad connection, Sean.
We're protectors, not protesters.
We have a kind of a bad connection with you, so if we lose you, we'll call you right back. But
well, I have a question. One thing that I've noticed, Democrat, Republican, both candidates, neither one or neither party have touched this subject at all. I have not heard anybody talk about this. Why do you feel that either candidate or either parties or any parties, I don't know about the Libertarian or Green, but have even touched this at all?
Well, I could say that. I mean, I don't know exactly. I think obviously we get into the politics of natural gas. In my documentary that's coming out on RT this month, I'll be airing it November 15th. That will it'll be available. The documentary gets into the petrodollar economy and how powerful a motivator that is for our everything is backed oil. And
hey, Sean,
so
we're
because of this relationship.
Sean, we're gonna call you back. The connections, you're breaking up like crazy. We're gonna call you back in 1 second, and we're gonna pick up where you're.
Yeah, because we want to hear what you're saying.
Yeah, this is really incredible news.
All right, we'll call you right back. All right, so what we ask, in case you just tuned in, we're talking to Sean Stone, and my question is why both candidates, any party that I've in the race at this time, the question was to Sean is why aren't anybody talking about this? Any party, any candidate. So Sean is back on. So let's try that again. You said your documentary is coming out, and then that's when we started cutting out.
Yeah.
It's still cutting out a little bit.
Yeah. Sabotage.
I think they must not want you to talk.
Maybe you might want to call in. Maybe we can shoot him the number privately and
Yeah, let's do that.
Why don't we have you call in, Sean, on your phone, and then we'll try to get a photo of you.
A good one.
Yeah, well, I'll pick the photo. I'll be the judge of that good photo.
All right, let me give you the number privately, and then we'll have you call.
But I'm glad before he spoke. Just to fill in the people, Sean was working on a documentary 2 years ago that I was kind of part of, and it was called Prometheus Unbound, and it was part of. It was talking about the oil economy and the nuclear fusion and the new technology to get all this energy. And it's really exciting to see that RT is now giving him the opportunity to show this, because I think when people think of nuclear power and coal fusion and all these things, they think of the media hype on it or the scare of that. We can't go nuclear because there's only one way to do it. And I think I'm really excited to see this new documentary because it shows the different ways of doing it.
Right.
And let's be honest, Tony, this country is due for a new revolution of industry. And we've been seeing that happen in China and India. And what does this country make? I mean, we don't even make Fender guitars anymore.
Right, it's true.
We make War. Do we got him online?
I think we have Sean back online.
All right.
There we go.
Perfect. That's much better.
Okay.
Yeah, good picture up.
Got a picture.
Yes. So, but Sean, I was talking about how some of the things that the new documentary is going to cover, and it's so it's refreshing to see that there's going to be a different take on what nuclear energy and coal and all these new technologies for the industry that we can look forward to in the future. So maybe you can brush upon that real quick.
Sure. So yeah, so as I was saying, the documentary gets into some of the politics of the petrodollar economy, that we are beholden to oil basically as our resource for energy because of the relationship that oil has to the U.S. dollar, and in future, looking forward, now obviously we've seen for years, basically since the 70s, basically Middle East security has been tied to oil security, right? And a large aspect of our military presence there and our growing, incursion into these regions, not just the Middle East, but even in parts of Africa, like Nigeria and other countries, Venezuela, whatnot. A lot of it has to do with oil politics, right? And so when it comes to the future, you have to look and say, well, on one hand, sure, we want to say America should have energy security. We're all for it. But then to say, well, it's going to just be a pump and dump scheme, or we'll continue to extract natural gas and oil and frack so that we can basically, continue to access oil for the next 50 years. It's sort of a ridiculous strategy, and that's to me what the Dakota Access Pipeline really represents, is basically continuing to use oil and natural gas as your major resource, and then also potentially trying to even export oil. Obviously right now it's embargoed to do so, but in the future you can imagine these major oil giants, wanting to basically export the oil and make profit, and basically turn us into a Nigerian economy. So it doesn't work from a long-term perspective. And the documentary that, as I mentioned, is going to be airing on RT the week of the 14th week, all week long. The documentary gets into some of the future prospects for other energy. Obviously, we know about nuclear fission, but we talk about thorium, which is a more interesting, even safer and cleaner version of nuclear fission. We also talk about fusion, both hot and cold. And, cold fusion is very exciting. It seems to be approaching approaching a product that would be available to actual consumers. But you still have this oil politics of oil that prevents these types of breakthrough energy technologies, because it would radically transform the economy. It would transform our relationship to energy, and it would open the door to future technologies that we've heard about. I think, throughout the years, those of us who are awake, we've heard about things like 0 point. We've heard about, all kinds of like Tesla type of, more implosive energy techniques, vortical energy, and things that might be able to be tapped into of higher orders of magnitude, right? So that's all, I think, the future of energy tech. But first we have to break this dependence on oil and its integral relationship to our U.S. dollar.
Well, changing lanes real quick, Sean, I know you have a new book, and it's so timely that your new book called New World Order is coming out. I wanted you to talk about that, because I think for the first time in U.S. politics, people are now talking about the term globalist, about the term one world government. Even Donald Trump has been mentioning globalist, things that you and I had been talking about, as well as colleagues of ours, for quite some time. So with this new book, what can people expect from your book, New World Order, and how important is it, coming out in this election season right now? I mean, reflecting on what's happening currently in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe Trump is getting his quote from Alex Jones. It seems like he reads a lot of Alex's and related online sites. I mean, that's the one fun thing about the Trump campaign. I'm not a big fan of his per se, but I do like what he's saying about when it comes to conspiracies. He does seem to be open to the conspiracy culture, and he's turning these online conspiracy theories into mainstream conspiracy theories, which is interesting to say the least. When it comes to the book New World Order, it's based on my thesis. I wrote at Princeton for my history degree, basically 10 years ago. I wrote this thesis about the mentor for Kissinger, and he's also taught Brzezinski. He taught Sam Huntington and like George Bundy, a lot of major figures within the political establishment, all through his 40-year career at Harvard. So I was interested by this guy William Mandel Elliott, who was the professor there. And obviously, again, if you understand how intelligence works and how the infrastructure of power works, which is really what was fascinating to me, was like the relationships of power. So you have a professor at Harvard who's also a CIA officer, right? Oh, wow. Who's also very close to the Rockefellers, who's also advising 6 presidents throughout the course of his tenure. You start to understand how policy, there is definitely arguments to be made. There's definitely cross currents. It's not necessarily just a one policy agenda. The globalists are just setting the policy every year at the Bilderberg Conference and laying down the law. It's not that simple. But there's definitely a clique of people who do set the agenda through their reports, their policy papers, and that becomes sort of the mainstream political culture in Washington, on Wall Street, or on the Council on Foreign Relations, for example, right? Certain banks, J.P. Morgan, historically in particular. So that's where you start to look at the centers of power and the relationship of just someone like, using Eliot as my main thinker in this case, and his relationship to these influencers. And to say, his ideas didn't always come to fruition, but if you look at his patterns of thinking and how it approximates an imperial pattern, and oftentimes they absolutely use the words New World Order as a term in between the 20s and the 50s. And a lot of these policy papers and discussions, because they were trying to formulate how is the world going to be ordered in the post-British Empire period. You see, because for the Western world, the British Empire was the dominant power, right? They had a quarter of the world's landmass. The Commonwealth still has almost a quarter of the world's landmass. The Queen is, if not the largest landholder in the world, she's at least the second. I'm not sure, because between her and the Vatican.
Wow, so she's not real. They're just not kind of a ceremonial kind of family there for the tourists. They're actually, there's a bit more power behind the Windsors than most people think.
Well, the crown, exactly, the crown holdings and whatnot.
See, Tony, I was going to say, because most of they're related to most of the leaders of the world anyway.
Right.
So
yeah. Exactly. They're
arguably. I mean, I don't know now. I mean, I know at the turn of the 20th century.
Yeah, they definitely
all the emperors and kings
of
Europe were their cousins.
Right.
But then they went and overthrew all of them.
Right.
With the First World War.
But Sean, I mean, let's be honest. That Hillary Clinton, a Hillary Clinton presidency is really, wouldn't you say, going to advance the New World Order agenda? Isn't she going to advance the consolidation and do the bidding of the military-industrial complex on behalf of the Rothschilds? Wouldn't you say that that's a very key prospect?
Well, and I also hear that Trump is very much doing the same thing on behalf of the Jesuits. The question really is, is there an internal power struggle taking place in the New World Order to say, is this conflict between Russia and America real, or is it feigned? Right? Is this an actual conflict between Russia and America? Is there, not just America, by America I mean the Western powers, because really, if you think about it, it goes back to the Vatican. A lot of power is held there. I don't get into that in the book. I wanted to focus on which I could research and actually get, records of and whatnot, and that was the Anglo-American Empire. But when it comes to the Vatican, there's still, this tremendous power and influence in the Western world, and all the Western world is still basically derivative of the Catholic Church. The Eastern world is East Orthodox. So going back to 1054, 1056 was it? I think it was 54, but there was a schism, right, between East and West. And ever since then, there has been this sort of institutional struggle between East and West. And then Islam is really derivative, I think, of that struggle, because Islam also believes in Jesus as a prophet, but they don't say he's God. So really, it's like a very bizarre situation of clash of civilizations where, and this is Sam Huntington's thesis, who was all, Huntington being a pupil of Eliot, makes you wonder, okay, so is this clash of civilizations actually a genuine clash of civilizations, or is this just being played out for the ultimate goal of consolidation of the New World Order?
Right.
Maybe in the East. Maybe behind the Russians and the Chinese. We don't know, because it gets to a very obscure level when you get to that level.
Right, because it could be one big ruse for an arms race for both countries, for example, of Russia and the United States. I mean, because you have in the WikiLeaks Hillary Clinton selling uranium to Vladimir Putin. I mean, why would she be doing that? We could be getting bamboozled, Tony.
I feel that.
I mean,
I believe
seriously.
that more than anything. I believe
because
that
why
we're
would these two these countries want to go to war when they could just benefit from appearing like they want to go to war and have arms race and just build up their police states, right, Sean?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, on one hand, we know the New World Order really. I mean, as far as the records and the discussions of the British are concerned, is not about nation states, okay? It's all about dissolving nation states, or at least reincorporating them, right? Such that there is no nationalism or people being loyal to their own republic or their constitution, but the idea of a world state. Now, on one hand, you say, look, we're all one people, we're one globe. A lot of these nations are artificially created. Have no problem with that. But on the other, the real problem lies in the idea of these supranational organizations coming to basically impose new laws and structures, and mostly to do with corporations. So you get the GATTs and the NAFTAs and the TPPs, right? And these other structures, the EUs, that basically they basically empower the corporations. They empower the transnational corporations in particular, right? The richest wealth is held within a few, maybe the study showed about 150 holding companies that have the majority of the wealth of the planet, right, in their power. And so really you drive it to these corporations that are bigger than most countries, right? These major banks and corporations that are bigger, their GDP, their profit and assets and holdings are bigger than most companies' GDPs, right? You start to say, well, is this what the New World Order is really about? Is actually just empowering the corporations, stripping the nations of their constitutional principles and any relationship of people to their government system, and reincorporating people within corporate apparatuses that really have no loyalty to any land, and they're willing to, of course, selling war is tremendous for profit, because whenever people are at war, they're dependent, right? Because they need food, they need supply lines, they need weapons, right? Access to oil, energy, all these things to fight the wars.
Do you think? Do you think there's one country that's not involved in this? Because if you looked in history, I mean, we're the ones that set up Iran and Iraq and all these, even Israel and pretty much every country we've had a hand in. So do you think, and even China has and the British, but even China, I mean, they own a big stake into America. So so
they own the AMC channel, Tony.
But that's what I'm saying is
everything American.
So is all these people that we kind of have disagreements with, but yet we have such a huge connection. Are they all part of one big order? It's hard to even.
Well, again, this is where it gets into this notion that I think you have different secret orders that are different. Sometimes, they do have conflict, but again, it's difficult to assess, what's really going on, right? we have, I mean, to me, like the main thing I could focus on in this book was the argument between the two imperialists in the British Empire that comes down to what seems to be a similar argument taking place in America. One hand being those who are basically saying, look, the British Empire will be the foundation for the New World Order, and it'll basically be, let's use America and bring Britain together to federate the globe, right, under our power structure. And then the others were saying, no, we're just going to make it a corporation, right? We're going to ultimately dissolve all of you and make it an open conspiracy like H.G. Wells talked about, right, and more international, cosmopolitan conspiracy. So we can basically, as long as we inform them we indoctrinate people through our education process. We tell them, we have to teach them about free trade, teach them about certain principles of capitalism, of law and order, and basically indoctrinate these peoples. We'll create like a new corporate New World Order.
They want more centralized power. And Sean, we only got a few minutes, so I want you to tell people where they can find your book and how they can purchase it. And then I want you to talk about the great news that Buzzsaw, my favorite show, is going to be on Gaia TV, and how people can find that as well.
Exactly.
So
the book New World Order is available at any major bookseller. If they don't have it in stores, you should demand it, and if otherwise, obviously it's on Amazon, but it should be in bookstores. If people can get out there and embrace it, this is important information. Obviously it's a little bit dense. It's a short read, though. It's only 200 pages, so it should be short enough for anyone to get through, including a fifth grader.
Why are you looking at me?
I'll say reading, you have to at least have an 8th grade reading level.
Well, then Tony can't read it. He needs pictures.
I was going to say, I need a lot of pictures.
Hey, what you should do, Sean? I mean, we should talk about this later, but you should totally we should work on getting you a book signing, and that way, build some hype around it, because I think this book, I mean, I'm not being biased, but I think it's so important right now in America to understand what's at play and understand, this. It's like we're in a James Bond movie.
The roots of how we got taken. What Bush is saying, what Trump is saying, is integrally correct. Why is America the policeman of the world? Why are we out there enforcing, laws and trade laws and trying to invade other countries because of our principles and laws? He's like, what does that have to do with America?
Exactly.
And that's a very true statement. It's very integral to what America's about. We've lost that direction. This book will help you understand how we got tricked and betrayed by these people who are so-called internationalists, but really they're just in it for their own power and wealth. They're not interested in the American people being internationalists in the sense of, I'm an internationalist. I love embracing humans as all peoples of the planet. I'm a citizen of the world, but I still have a sense of, look, we have to protect our country. I'm not going to go out there and try to impose my will on someone else. We focus on our own issues. We clean our own house, and then if things are great, we'll be a beacon for others. We don't have to go out there and clean everyone else's house for them and kill them in the process and sweep the blood away.
Exactly, and Buzzsaw can be found on Gaia TV. When is that premiering, or it's already premiered, or?
That will be coming out in November.
Okay.
So this coming month on Gaia, people should keep an eye out for Buzzsaw, 13 episodes.
Well, this is going to be
really
your
juicy.
month. November is the
Wow.
Sean Stone month, isn't it? So
pretty amazing
documentary Buzzsaw in the book.
wow, aren't you? Anyways, well, on that
don't
note,
get jealous now. No,
I'm not jealous. Believe me, it's the other way around.
okay.
Well, this is exciting, Sean. Thanks for coming on the show, and we're great supporters of you, and come back again, and
please do.
Enjoy Halloween. I know you're going to wear your eyes wide shut mask tonight, and you're going to be trick or treating, right? So
They're about to show up right now. I think we can hear the doorbell ring any minute.
oh my God.
Little trick or treaters.
Well, Sean, thank you so much. Congratulations on everything. Good job.
Thank you. Really appreciate it, guys.
You got it.
All
right. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
All
Will
right.
do.
Take care.
Man, I'll tell you, Tony, they're attacking all of our electronics today, man. I mean,
They didn't want him to talk at all, did they?
No, they didn't want him to talk.
Well, at least be seen.
All the glitches we're having on this show, it's like a broken down Millennium Falcon, but we are paving our way
That's right.
to the top.
Yeah,
here.
we are Harrison Ford, and
I'm Harrison Ford.
Okay,
You're not
I'll-
Harrison.
yeah.
Did that too good.
Anytime. All right. Well, we are out of here. Thank you again for joining us on this Monday edition of Truth Be Told with Tony and Dean. Go to our YouTube channel. Check us out there. iHeart Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and go to our website, truthbetold.webtv.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. We'd love to hear from you guys anytime, anywhere. But until then, we'll see you next week.
That's right. Cheers. Mahalo. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween next time.